Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start off with something a little different. I've got a CloudFormation template here and now it's deploying a security group and I hope everyone can see what is so bad about this security group. It should be hopefully pretty obvious, but it's allowing port 22, which is SSH, and port 3389, which is Microsoft Remote Desktop, inbound from anywhere. So that basically means any machine with any IP address could potentially SSH or RDP into a machine that's been, or a EC2 instance that's been assigned this group. Now, hopefully I don't have to tell you why this is so bad and very bad practice, but it may surprise a lot of people. It does actually happen. I have seen over the years working with customers this actually deployed in their environments, whether the customers know about it or whether it's a third party or a developer that's working for them. Now, I had a chat with someone the other day. They actually had this happen. Luckily, it was in their test environment, but they did have an external developer who wanted to get access to a Linux web server. And they didn't know what their IP address was they were coming from. They didn't have any other VP. They didn't ask for a VPN access or anything, or any other secured method, or even they didn't check if SSM or anything could access it. They just went ahead and deployed port 22 from everywhere. They then SSH'd in and continued with their work. Now, the particular customer I was working with, luckily they had config rules enabled to be able to detect whether these any security groups for these type of configurations are deployed, and then it's able to alert on it, and they were able to then shut it down very quickly. But they came to me and they said, "Hey James, it's all well and good being able to alert on this stuff, but hey, I just want to stop this from happening ever again. I don't want any of the developers to be able to deploy any templates with this kind of security group configuration." And he said there are a couple other things that I've been picking up on that I'd also like to stop them from deploying. And I said, okay, well, look, you're using CloudFormation. You do have AWS Control Tower enabled in your environment. So what we can actually do is we can actually have a look at Proactive Controls. So if we jump in quickly here to, where is it? Okay, so this is my developer account, and you can see that someone's come in, me, and deployed bad security group. So let's go and have a look at, let's have a look. Luckily, I've got nothing deployed, so the security group's not assigned to anything, which means it's not doing anything. But let's have a look here. Okay, we've got here remote access security group. What's this remote access security group got? It has RDP and SSH inbound from anywhere. Bad. So I said, okay, let's leverage some of the controls in AWS Control Tower to prevent developers from even being able to run a CloudFormation template that's got any of this sort of bad config in it. So the way that we did that was we used something that's called Control Tower Proactive Controls. So what I'm going to do quickly is, you can see here in my development account, if I go back to CloudFormation, you can see here that it's allowed me to successfully deploy this security group. So let's just go and, I'm going to go and delete that security group. Now, it doesn't matter if someone is deploying this in a CloudFormation template by itself, or whether this particular configuration is in a larger CloudFormation template that's deploying a lot of other things, or whether it's in stack sets or anything. We want to be able to stop this from being deployed. As I said, they did have being reported on, so they were alerted of it. But they said, look, this has happened too many times now, let's just stop it altogether. So how do we do that? As I mentioned, we would want to look at Control Tower Proactive Controls. So if we go into our master account here and wait for it to load, and let's jump into Control Tower. So as you can see here, we've got enabled control summaries. Now we've got 20 preventative controls and 3 detective controls. As I've mentioned in previous videos, preventative controls, they use an SCP to be able to actually stop anything, actually deny anything. So for example, it would stop someone from being able to delete CloudTrail logs, or stop someone from being able to deploy EC2 instances or certain services that you didn't want them to in a particular region or even in an account. We then have detective controls. As I said, these look at basically configuration, and it will report on configuration that is not compliant with what you set up. So this is what they had set up, and they had a detective control in here to say, hey, give me any, warn me on any security group that's open to 0.0.0/0, and that's it. Now the good thing about that, control is it will do that, but sometimes you do want security groups to be opened. For example, if you've got a load balancer serving web traffic out to the world, you want port 443 for HTTPS to be open. So that was good, but they did keep getting some false positives every time one of the developers created a load balancer and assigned a security group to test web access. They were also getting alerted. Now, yes, you could modify the detective control and the like to allow that, but it's much easier if you just stop it from being deployed altogether. And that's where proactive controls come in. So proactive controls, they will actually scan all of the CloudFormation templates as they're being deployed and pick up any matching rules that you might have put in. And if it picks up on a matching rule, it will actually just stop the whole deployment of the CloudFormation template and roll it back altogether. So let's see that in action. So as you can see here, we have all these controls. These are all the proactive controls here. Again, same as the other controls, you can sort them by service and the like. So let's do a search for security group. And as you can see here, we've got a whole heap that are assigned to the EC2 services. You can see some of them are detective, proactive. But let's have a look at this one in particular. Limit networks access, enforce least privilege. So if we have a look at this, we can actually see that this is actually EC2 security group role does not use the source IP range of 0.0.0/0 or 0 for ports other than port 80 and port 443. So that basically means that this would, if we enabled this role, it would allow a CloudFormation template to deploy if it had a security group allowing that source on port 443 or port 80, which you would typically do 443 for a web server or a load balancer hosting a web page or a web app. But you certainly don't want that for RDP or SSH. So let's go through and have a look at this. So what we can actually do is we can come down here to enable OUs. So the control is not currently enabled. So let's come back here and we want to enable the control. So we jump into that, will bring us to here, and we want to enable it on our infrastructure OU, which has got our development accounts in it, which I was showing previously. So let's go and enable the control. That's going to go and enable that for us. We can see down here it's currently enabling. And once that has enabled, there you go, it's now enabled. So now what we can do is we can go back and jump into our development account. CloudFormation again, and we'll create a new stack. We'll upload from a template. We'll choose a file, group file. Next, we'll call it bad security group. We'll select the VPC. Next, and we'll go to deploy that, and we can see it here deploying. But then, bang. Okay, so you can see it hasn't deployed it, and it's actually rolled it back. So it hasn't even allowed it to get to the point where it will actually deploy that security group. Now, as we can see here, we can see that it's failed on the following hooks. So it's hooked into Control Tower, and it's found that proactive rule that's stopping that configuration from being deployed. It's then gone, no, I'm not going to let that be deployed, and I'm going to roll it straight back. So as you can see, this is great to be able to just stop it from happening altogether. Yes, it's good on being able to report on these things, but to be able to stop it from happening altogether is better. So you can obviously use this for a lot of different other rules, not just security groups, but you can really prevent anything or any other bad practices or things that you just don't want developers to be deployed using this method. So I hope that's helped and given you some insight, and you might be able to help to improve your AWS environment. I will see you on the next one.